Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'd like to announce that earlier this morning, with the assistance of a number of specialized police resources, including the Integrated Emergency Response Team, 2 individual suspects were arrested and taken into custody on behalf of a joint forces operation being led by the RCMP Lower Mainland District. The joint forces operation includes senior investigators from the Surrey Police Provincial Operational Support Unit, the Abbotsford Police Department, E-Division Major Crime, Federal Policing Pacific Region, and a criminal intelligence analyst from the Surrey Police Service. What we have been doing is continuing a focused investigation into a number of extortions that occurred in late 2023 all the way through the summer of 2024. And this team has been responsible for ensuring that investigation continues. And today's operation was the latest in a series of steps to advance the evidence collection and that operation towards the end goal of criminal charges. This is also an opportunity, now that we've gone through this portion of the investigation, to be able to come forward and speak directly to our communities and the public, to let everyone know that there have been and continue to be very high levels of cooperation amongst all the different police agencies here in the Lower Mainland, British Columbia. Included in that cooperation, obviously, are municipal, provincial, and federal resources, and that's allowed us to tap into other municipal departments across the country and ensure that we've got all the latest information, intelligence, and understanding of how these crimes are taking place. The 2 individuals today, I can confirm, were arrested for offences related to careless use of a firearm, arson, and related specifically to extortion offences. There are no current charges laid, so we will not be able to go into the names or details of the individuals arrested. But this operational aspect is now wide open, and it had been kept under wraps in order to ensure that the investigative objectives were able to be met. And I'll just highlight that all of our police agencies right now are ensuring that we're working together, we're working cooperatively, and we're aggressively pursuing every opportunity to work together and collaborate on these investigations. And finally, to ensure that all of the community members are aware, we want you to ensure that you report these incidents to the police. We will advance them, and our end goal is to get everyone responsible for these events into the courts to face justice. I think that's where I'll open it up to if there are any questions.
Which gang and community do they belong, and how much money did they ask for extortion?
So I won't be able to go to all of those details. What I can tell you is there were 2 Surrey residents that were arrested today, and that's about the extent of what I can tell you at this point. And they're related to extortions here in the Lower Mainland, spanning back to incidents that occurred as late as 2023, but more recently in 2024.
What's the age of them?
Again, I won't go into the ages or specifics of them right now. At the point where we reach where charges are laid, we will be able to go into more detail on that.
You mentioned Surrey residents. Were they just arrested in Surrey? Are they Canadian citizens? Are they from another country?
Again, we don't want to go into too much detail of that. I will say they are Surrey residents, but I won't go into their status here in Canada at this time.
So you can't tell us if they're...
Unfortunately, not right now, no.
Can you expand a bit on the nature of the incidents that happened in 2024 for which they have been arrested?
I think we're going to stay relatively vague on that, but they are extortion-specific offences. And obviously with the careless use of the firearm and arson, that would imply that obviously there were incidents related to firearms and to attempted arson.
Was anyone hurt in that incident?
No one was hurt in those incidents.
In both incidents, in 2023 and 2024?
Yeah, that's a good question, Romina. We're speaking to a joint forces operation that has been tasked with the conduct of investigation into a target group. So there's multiple incidents. The time frame is sort of late 2023 to 2024, but there were actually several different incidents that we believe this group was responsible for.
So how many alleged victims during that time frame?
I don't have that number right here, but I could probably get you some more information after this.
This community has been terrified for months now. Very serious allegations that has caught the attention it's not going to derail your investigation to give us some information regarding where are these guys from, an idea of what the extortion involved, how many other people may be connected. We're just looking for basic information that's not going to derail the court process at this stage. So why can't
No,
you tell the community?
I think what we're saying right here, and it's a good point, what we're doing is we're looking into these extortions, specifically with the community. We're appealing to the community to ensure that they report it. Obviously, we want to be able to understand exactly the scope of these incidents, and we're not 100% confident that we've got all of the reports in. But for the specifics of the individuals involved themselves, we're saying Surrey residents, and we're not going to go into more detail at this time, but we'd be happy to when charges are laid.
So given there are no charges at this point, presumably they are out on bail? Bail conditions?
No, so they are currently in custody,
Okay.
and their release is to be determined. But the expectation is that they may be released without charges. Obviously, we have to consider advancing the investigation, Jordan implications, and whether or not we can work with Crown Counsel to get charge approval.
I have a question from CBC, my colleague there. Go, Vazi. Go ahead.
Do you know when charges are expected to come down? Where are we in the charging process? When are these charges going to be formally laid by the Crown?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of the investigation, obviously it's been ongoing for some time. We have a considerable amount of information and evidence that we would be presenting to Crown, and we would be gathering new information. The goal of the arrest today was to gather additional information. So all of that will then be put together into a report to Crown Counsel. We'll work closely with the BC Prosecution Service, and they've already committed to making it a priority for them to review the Crown when it's submitted.
So
Were
you
any
can't tell the
weapons or
community.
any material recovered from there? Any weapons or any material recovered from there?
Sorry, I won't speak to anything recovered from them today.
So you can't tell the community with any confidence that they will be back at home, back on the street by this weekend.
What we have to do is follow the due process. We'll have to submit a report to Crown Counsel. We'll have to work with Crown, ensure we have the right information for charges to be approved. But what we would tell the community is this was an important operational step for the investigation to make these arrests, to gather more information, more evidence, and ultimately to then recommend to Crown Counsel for charges.
The community might be, so you're not at the stage where a file has been forwarded to Crown, who is the ultimate decider regarding charge approval. Some serious allegations here regarding firearms, arson, extortion. I mean, in order to get the community's help, that might push you over the line to be able to move the material to Crown. Are you asking for help at this point?
So the actual, gathering the evidence, producing the Crown, getting it to Crown Counsel, that is obviously the role for the Joint Forces operation. And all of the different investigators on that team are working extremely hard to get to that point. As you know, every investigation, it unfolds at the speed that the investigation unfolds. But what I can say is every single incident of extortion that's being reported is being investigated. And right now there is a huge commitment from all of our police chiefs, all of the RCMP senior leadership to work together to ensure we're collaborating, to share intelligence and information in order to advance the cases to court. And that's our commitment to the community.
So why now, right? You're not at the level where you've got charges. Sometimes that hinges on the Jordan principle, why charges haven't been laid yet. I'm not sure if that's the case here. But what happened to get you over the bar to be able to stand here before the public and tell them this today?
Well, one of the key things we wanted to do was ensure the integrity of the investigation. And then with arrests taking place today, arrests taking place in the community, with our expectation that this would probably generate some conversation within the community, this was an opportunity we felt was timely to come out and discuss the level of coordination, collaboration amongst the police agencies that are investigating these crimes. So it would make sense now that we've done what we needed to do operationally to come out and speak to what's been spoken to quite consistently by other areas.
And can you talk a bit about whether those arrested suspects have a previous police record?
Again, we won't. We're just mindful of all privacy issues, and so we won't talk about someone who's not charged with an offense, and we won't go into history that might inadvertently identify them at a point in time where they're not charged with any offense.
So, as far as, I mean, even again, very broad strokes here as far as the kind of extortion. Can you give us any indication? You know, are we talking about a business owner who was extorted, someone else, just something generic?
Well, I think the message that we want to make sure that the community hears is that law enforcement is working together, working to exploit any opportunities we have to collaborate, bring in expertise in order to advance these investigations to the point of charges. So really that's the focus for the community, is to understand that if they're reporting these offenses, if they're working with the police, if they're not deleting messages, if they're preserving any form of contact that suspects make with them and reporting it to the police of jurisdiction, then that really opens the door for the opportunities for law enforcement to do the job that we want to do and that we know we can do. And so we're continuing to do that right now. And I think the other message is, if you're involved in extortions, you should understand that across the Lower Mainland, law enforcement is making this a priority, and we are investigating, and we will not stop until we get it to charges. Is there any?
How many extortion,
Okay, we'll give you a last one.
How many extortion investigations are currently underway, roughly? How many cases are we talking about?
I wouldn't speak to that right now at this event. But what we're looking for is to understand exactly what the problem is. We want them all reported, and then we will investigate them.
So a lot of no comment regarding a slew of questions here today. Arrests, don't know when these guys are going to be out. Could be today, could be next week, we don't know. No charges. Why would the public have any confidence that you're making any headway?
I think what's important for the public, and what we know from speaking to the public and having those relationships with them, is that they want to understand, they want to know that the police are doing their job. We are doing that. We're very capable. We've got major case management principles. We've got subject matter experts in investigation, and we are advancing these investigations. So what we want is for the community to know they need to continue to report these. We will continue to update as and when we can, but ultimately the police are going to try and do their job to get these cases before the court.
But you've got
So
all
thanks
these
everybody.
police
Thanks.
agencies